Welcome back, listeners. This is your host, Patterson, and we're here today to discuss all things related to fashion and entrepreneurship. On today's episode, I'm joined by guest Avery Baker, who is a motivational speaker. How I met this guest was a rare turn of events, but basically I was at a music festival and we ended up meeting in the Waterline. So it's very nice to see that we've been able to reconnect, and now I'll let him introduce himself.
Sweet. Well, hello, everyone. My name is Avery Baker, and I'm from Sacramento, California. And I am a inspirational speaker and a workshopper and an author. And yes, I met Owen in the Waterline of Soul Bloom, which was here in Sacramento. It was a great lineup. I thought it was a good time. And being from Sacramento, maybe I'm biased, but we don't usually get nice things. So it's nice to actually have something that was really cool.
Yeah, nothing could beat that lineup for sure. It was amazing. Now we're going to get into a few icebreaker questions. You can definitely don't think too deep about these, just fire off the top of your head. So the first one is, what's your favorite topic to learn about?
Travel, for sure.
Travel. Geography, you'd say?
Yeah, like geography, history,
Culture.
culture, like that whole area right there. I wanted to say like three things, but
Wonderful. Well, guess what? The next question is, where would you like to travel to?
Miami.
Okay. Is there a hobby you want to pick up?
Speaking Spanish.
Of the five senses, which do you favor the most?
Taste.
All right. And favorite board game?
Monopoly.
Monopoly. You like dealing with money?
Oh, yeah, man. Money hands. Mr. Krabs. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I grew up playing Monopoly. My dad showed me Monopoly. Him, my brother, my mom. She kind of fell off as we got older, but it was a sport in our home.
It got too competitive.
It was a sport for sure.
I can see that. Yeah. Sometimes you got to let some of the parents win a game or two to let them stay on.
Yeah, exactly.
And then this question is more specific. It's, to be uplifted, what musicians do you listen to?
I listen to be uplifted.
Yeah. Because I think it's easy to say like, yo, who's your favorite artist? But sometimes you're in the mood where maybe an artist necessarily doesn't resonate with you or how you're feeling at that point. So to be uplifted, is there anybody that has just like a good beat, a good message?
Yeah, that's a good question because it's dynamic. Because for me, uplifting is not only like a sensation that I feel, but it's like a thought. And from that standpoint, some things that I feel would be like Frank Ocean.
Okay.
For me, uplifting says he gets me to a point where I just want to sing, bro. So for me, that's uplifting. But then there's other people that are more uplifting from like their message.
Yeah.
You know?
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. So from that standpoint,
it's tough. Maybe name two artists that you resonate most with. You said Frank. Is there anybody else that you really enjoy just what they're speaking about, or maybe how it makes you feel?
It's crazy, man, because like I know this is not popular opinion now, but for most of my childhood, it was Kanye.
Okay.
So from just a pure admiration of his confidence in himself, as somebody who was constantly searching for confidence in myself, I looked at him and I was like, you know what? Like he believes in himself more than anybody I've ever seen. Like I should use some of that. Like I should try to tap into that. I should try to pull from what I see from him. So for a while, it was him. And, you know, I think as life goes, you realize you're not going to agree with everything that everyone does.
Completely.
And that's okay too. And so for the same reason, or for, I guess what I'm saying is like the same person I could pull inspiration from and also disagree with.
Yeah, no, that's sort of ties into the topic of like, can you separate art from the artist? That's really big debate nowadays.
I know.
But I can agree with you that Kanye is just, he's eye-opening.
Yeah, for sure. But I think there's other artists too, man. Like, dude, I look at certain jazz musicians that I've listened to. My dad really got me into jazz. There's this dude named Jean-Luc Ponty. He's like a French dude, composer, plays hella instruments, and he's amazing. More recently, I would say somebody that's really uplifting, FKJ. You know about FKJ?
No.
French Kiwi Juice?
I'll have to go listen to it after this.
Oh,
you're making me feel left out.
I have to put the link in the chat. Some of your listeners may know already, but FKJ, best, like, you just trying to like power through some random chores or something. You put this music on and he's just like Energizer Bunny. And not from like a gets you hella hype, but it's just great music.
That's wonderful. Yeah, I can remember from another podcast that you did, you mentioned Vic Mensa. And I feel like that's a really underrated artist right there, especially if we even talk about like Vince Staples, which you also mentioned. Those are just two phenomenal artists. So I think you definitely would have mentioned those had they been on your mind.
Yeah. I like Vince a lot. I think Vince has really good music. And his styles have changed. That's what I really appreciate. I can appreciate that a lot in an artist that has a lot of different sounds, because it's like, wow, you're versatile, you're dynamic, you've tried different things. Sometimes you try things and it doesn't hit. That's fine. You know, like that's cool. Like you did it, you tried it. And I like Vince Staples a lot for that. I also think he has great interviews. Like I wish I could interview him at some point, just because
I'd love to see that.
He drops knowledge in his interviews, and it's great. Vic Mensa is really cool too. I got into Vic around the same time I got into Chance, and they actually just came out with a new song more recently. It's pretty good. And I like Vic too. He's also a very dynamic dude. You could tell through his music.
Yeah, he uses a lot of different beats.
Yeah.
Well, I think it was great that we were able to talk about music, knowing that you like similar artists to me.
Yes.
But now it's time to get into the reason you're on this.
Yes.
Not that I don't want to talk to you about music, but it is time to talk about the business that you've been working on and that you've been involved in. This is called the Avery and Brian Experience. Do you want to quickly summarize what it is that you do?
Yeah, the Avery and Brian Experience is me, Avery, and my dad, Brian, and we are motivational speakers. When we talk about building healthy relationships, and also how social and emotional intelligence really ties into that and helps us in our own personal journeys and our personal and professional development. So we do keynotes, workshops. We've done commencement addresses. And actually, this is the craziest thing. We found out that me and my dad were supposed to fly up to your high school, right? South Medford.
Yeah, that's right.
Dude, we were supposed to fly out to South Medford for your 2020 high school commencement. And we were the speakers. We were the keynote speakers to come fly to your school. And of course, coronavirus. And then that just like, that didn't happen. We ended up filming. We did a message that was included in like your, I guess you guys received like a video. I don't even know if you watched it or
I didn't see anything. I mean, I should have, but it didn't come to my attention. But that's just such a coincidence that you were the commencement speaker at my graduation, and then we were able to meet.
Yes.
Awesome how things are brought together and the world works. And I would like to know, how did the Avery and Brian experience begin? How did the idea form?
Yeah, so it actually formed over a conversation at dinner. And one night my dad just brought this idea to the table. He was like, yo, man, I know I'm on this journey speaking right now. He had just started his own business, Respectology. And he was like, but I really think if you and I spoke, it would be super unique. It would be super powerful and beneficial. And so I was a little hesitant, but after a while, I started to think about it. And I was like, wow, this could actually be important for people to see, because I started to think about it. And I'm like, man, not a lot of my friends actually grew up with their dads, or if they did, not a lot of them grew up with a dad in the house. And so I started thinking about like, wow, I mean, I always felt blessed. I really did. I felt like I had the best childhood. But then I started to think about it from that perspective, and it made me realize like we can help people that maybe have never had a father in their life and don't know about that relationship, and just talk from a personal perspective and just be open books about how we did it and the trials and tribulations and the triumphs that we went through to get us to this point where we're able to work together and start a business together and talk to families. And now it's grown, and we start talking to businesses, corporations, nonprofits, and start talking to their staffs, because the keys and the principles that we talk about in healthy family relationships, it translates to the workplace too. Because think about it, a lot of people spend more time with their coworkers, whether it's in person or virtually these days, than they do with their actual families. Like, that's real. There's studies about that, where families on average spend 37 minutes of quality time together per day during the week. Like, that's crazy. So we wanted to help people. And that's the origin of kind of the Avery and Brian experience.
That's a great mission to have. I'm pretty sure you answered the first part of this next question, which is what made you pursue speaking? And that had to do with you wanting to be alongside your dad. And also you guys found this mission that you wanted to continue to push out to people. So the next part of this question is, what has encouraged you to continue on this speaking journey?
Man, I think I've from an early age, I remember enjoying helping people. Like, that's what gave me, that's what made me feel good, is when I help somebody. I can think about it in sports. Like, I played basketball, and I, as the point guard, much rather would assist than like actually get my own bucket. And I just would, I loved passing. I loved like dribble drive, kicking. I loved, like, I was good at ball handling. So it was like, that was enjoyable for me. Scoring was cool too, but I would much rather like get everybody else a bucket.
Yeah.
And so then, off the sports field, I remember like in high school needing to do community service. And that was a very like revealing process for me in knowing like, oh wow, like I can directly help people in needs, or I can build homes for people that need refugees that need new homes and things like that. So I started to get involved with that, but that it didn't actually start then. It started early on. Like my parents would get me involved with things. My dad was my basketball coach in AAU, and so we would go to the food bank and we would, you know, pass out food when we were in the like fourth, fifth, and sixth grade. Um, and so yeah, man, that was something that I always knew made me feel good. And so to answer your question, the work that I do with my dad, I realized actually impacted people more than I thought it could. Um, and that for me was like, that like made me step back and realize, okay, this is bigger than me at this point. So, you know, we work with a lot of like Head Start organizations around the country, a lot of school districts, and being able to help people in this way, even though I like I said, I never imagined this was going to be part of my journey up until it became part of my journey. So yeah.
It sounds like you were able to continue pursuing a passion and an enjoyment of yours. So that's really wonderful that you've been able to continue to do that.
Yeah, for sure.
Something that I read about, or that was like some information available to me, which was your dad, Brian, had reached out to both of you and your brother and had asked you guys about starting a business. And at this point, you were in your sophomore year of college. And I read that you didn't really know yourself that well at that point to jump into this idea. So you then revisited this idea of starting a business together with your dad after graduating college. But I want to go back to how you felt as a sophomore. Do you have any advice for somebody who's in a similar position to trying to figure out what they want to do with their lives, or maybe what they want to pursue?
Yeah, I love this question because I always told my friends, like, why not just do like anything, do everything that you can think of, especially when we're at that age. Like I was kind of younger for a sophomore. Like I was, I think 19 at that point for my sophomore year of college. And I was just like, I knew at that point what I wanted to do. I wanted to become a general manager for a professional sports team. So I was like, I know like that's something I would like. So like, let me start kind of working towards that. But along the way, other opportunities presented themselves. So I became a yes man because I was just like, why am I not going to look into all of these other things that are available if I don't know I'm going to do this and be this? Like, I know maybe I want to do something for sure. So let's start working towards that. But for me, I'm an opportunistic person. And I feel like my encouragement to anybody that's looking to find a passion, you got to go do something, you know? And in being opportunistic, ask questions, get advice from people, learn other people's journeys, and hear from them. Oh, they know this, they can do this. Oh, that's interesting. Now you have a lead into that new sphere. And so for me, all of the jobs, the internships, the volunteer things that I did, I would try to use them for the next step. I would try to take something from it, and now I have that skill. Now I have that knowledge. So now when I'm pursuing the next thing, I can bring that with me and intentionally carry, um, you know, carry all of these tools like they're on my tool belt, you know? And that's kind of how I viewed progressing through life, you know, progressing through trying to figure out what is it that I want to do? What gives me life? What am I passionate about? What makes me happy? And a lot of that came from just deep diving into my self-awareness and developing that.
Yeah, that's a very valuable piece of information because you never want to leave something at a what if. You definitely want to always explore the options and figure out if you like it or if you don't like it.
100%, bro. I can't live like that. You know, I can't live with the what ifs. I can't live. And I say that in purposefully because even for the things that I may have thought were the right move at the time and they didn't pan out, I gotta live with that, you know? And so that's my, you know, my code for keeping myself like accountable to there, you know, I believe every day we wake up is a new opportunity, you know, to make a step towards where you want to be. And first of all, you got to know where you want to be, right? But when you know where you want to be, like every day you have a chance to go be who and what you want to be. If I continue to live with that thought of every day is a new opportunity, I don't need to carry the what ifs, because now I can go out and not carry that as luggage or baggage, something that's holding me back, but I can focus on, you know, the next opportunity and taking advantage of that opportunity. That's kind of where my mindset goes to. So that's what, yeah, lost it there, but I found it.
Right. Next, I want to ask you, as a business, so basically from your perspective as a part of this business, what has been the biggest accomplishment for you guys? And on the opposite end, what has been maybe something you guys have struggled with while being in business?
Our biggest accomplishment. Well, I could honestly answer this with the same thing. Our biggest struggle has been for the last several years. We've known that in order to take our business to the next level, we have to we have to have an online presence, and more from the standpoint of, you know, creating online courses for people, or online programs that people can get a variety of resources. So that's one thing that we just have procrastinated on for so long, until this past Saturday, which was 2 days ago from the time that we're recording this, for context. And we got into a studio and we did the filming for our first online course that we're developing. And so that feels like, at this very moment, 2 days later, it feels like the biggest accomplishment. Now we've done a lot of really awesome things. For example, we just actually finished our first year of creating a fatherhood initiative for a Head Start organization. And so that has been a really great process and really rewarding, working with a lot of dads, working with a lot of father figures, and working with a lot of parents in general with this Head Start organization. So that's probably one of the biggest accomplishments that we've had right now. You know, keynoting national conferences, whether it be a sorority conference, whether it be like we're doing a Head Start, a regional Head Start conference in Chicago in a few months. So yeah, there's some things that I'm really proud of and what we've done. And we are progressing. And that's the really cool part is the events are getting bigger. The accomplishments feel bigger. So we're keeping it going, man.
Yeah, I want to congratulate you on those accomplishments. And based on what you were talking about, it kind of segues into my next question, which is how have you expanded the business and how will you continue to expand the business?
For sure, yeah. So I think the biggest example is moving to an online presence. But I would say along the way, let's see, it started with honestly, let's go back. It started with getting a really good website. And as good of a product as you can have in today's age, if you don't have a good website that represents you well, it's a lot of times all for none because some people aren't going to trust it. Some people's going to think, maybe the product isn't as good because the website isn't as good. And I don't necessarily agree with that. That's what I was trying to say from the jump. But at the end of the day, it matters, and for aesthetics too. Like I would rather have an aesthetically pleasing website than not. So that was a big step for us. And we got that it's crazy, man, because where we started this business back in 2018. And I really, let's see, around 2019 is when, we finished our first book, summer of 2019. Well, our book, we're in the process of writing another, but we finished our book in 2019. And so that was one way we expanded the business. Then 2020 rolls around and we're starting to get booked more. Things are looking pretty good. And of course, coronavirus hits. And so we lost like 8 gigs on the schedule, just boom, like that, canceled. Some of them said postponed. Those ended up being canceled. I think we legit have one we have one event that was supposed to happen in like June of 2020 that we've rescheduled so many times that it's gonna happen finally in like October of this year.
That's crazy.
Yeah, 2.5 years later. And so, but not all of them were like that. So that postponed a lot of things. And point of me bringing that up is we were moments away, quite literally moments away of signing a contract to like redo our website and really have like a developer, make it really, really nice. But then with, we were so young at that point in our business that having all of these postponements at the same time, and of course, it was just so much uncertainty going around at the time. You didn't know what was going to happen. So we pulled back on that, and that was in February, and we didn't pick that process back up until like October. So in big picture, it's only like 8 months. But by the time that the website got finished at the start of 2021, we really started to see an uptick in business because they were really helping us along the way. So that was a level up, and then what else as far as our own development, getting in front of this virtual medium using Zoom. We were reluctant for a while just based off of, me and my dad weren't really comfortable with camera work at the time. My dad has been speaking for, let's see, going on, 10 years at this point. He did a TED Talk back in 2015 when he worked for AT&T. And so that was early on when he realized like, I could really, really do this speaking thing. But we never really did like Facebook lives or Instagram lives or anything like that up until 2020. And then poof, whole world changes, right? We're on Zoom all the time. We're using Microsoft Teams. we're using platforms I've never even heard of and never even used again. And it's just like, what is going on? Oh man, it's crazy, right? So yeah, that from that standpoint, getting comfortable in this virtual medium, and also now being able to provide really engaging experiences in the virtual medium, that's huge for our business now, because there's still a lot of organizations, as you may know, they're not back in person, and a lot of people prefer to be working from home, and that's cool too. So for us as a business now, we need to be versatile. We need to have the same level of connection, the same engagement, the same benefits, and the same feelings from both our in-person events and our virtual events. So yeah, man, a lot has changed, and we've had to grow quickly. We've had to adjust, adapt, be agile, but hey, so has the rest of the world. So we're not super unique from that standpoint, you know?
Yeah, you mentioned a lot of things in there, and I know that from looking at your website, you also did a podcast, and like you mentioned, you did the workshops, or you're going to continue to do those. And there was a lot of things that you guys have tried to do to continue to connect with people and try to offer them something that
Yeah.
would fit their business or maybe just where they were in their lives. So definitely, if you're a business, reach out to these guys, and they have something for you and something very valuable that you could learn from their story. Then the next thing I want to talk about is the 5 keys to strengthen your relationships.
Yes.
So I want to know basically, why is that so significant, and what purpose does it serve? I know that it's a keynote and it's also a book. So it started out as this way of summarizing your story, basically.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. The 5 keys to strengthen your relationships, that's what our book is about. The full title is called Love Wins, 5 Keys to Strengthen Your Relationship, a Parent-Child Perspective. And we wrote that book with the intention of telling our story through the lens of these 5 keys that, really my dad used with me and my brother during our upbringing, him and my mom, but with in regards to the book, it's from my dad's perspective on how he raised me and my brother, and how these keys build off of each other, and they really relate to each other. And once you're able to implement all 5 of them, you can start to live the happy, positive, enriching life that everybody kind of strives to live at some point. So that's what the 5 keys is about. It includes a lot of stories from my upbringing. It includes, a list of Brian Bakerisms, which are phrases that my dad used to tell me and my brother over and over and over, and they were so annoying, but they resonate. Like those are the things that are in the back of my head, on a weekly basis or whatever. So it's funny, man. It's cool to have written that and to see people hear what people think about it. I didn't think I would be an author either, but again, just being a yes man and seeing where we can connect with people. I've always loved connecting with people, dude. Like that also gives me gives me life. Helping people and connecting with people, being able to see how we relate. That's one of the coolest parts of humanity to me. So yeah, man.
That's really cool that you were able to share that with the world. The next questions I want to get into are a little bit deeper, and
Okay.
that is, what has impacted you most on this speaking journey? Is there a moment that has really sat with you?
There's a few, man. I'll say one real quick. We were at a conference one time in San Antonio, and we and I talk about my journey with living with ADD and ADD, attention deficit disorder. For those of you that that don't know, it's like a cognitive uh, a cognitive brain issue where you lack focus, concentration, sometimes impulsivity. That's when it's ADHD, hyperactive. And so we did this conference, and afterwards, after I talk about my journey with it, my struggles, and then how I've learned how to cope, a woman came up to me afterwards, and we started having a conversation. She started letting me know she has a son that has ADD. And then, when she got started talking about her son, that's when she kind of broke down. And she said, you just gave me hope that my son can be okay. And that was early on when we started speaking. And that, for me, having not really told a lot of people up to that point about, how I live with ADD, how I've dealt with or coped with it, and where I fell short at times in my life, the moment when I knew, damn, like I need to get help. And then, doing that from an early point, I was like, wow, this is huge. And since, it hasn't just been her. Every time I talk about it, somebody relates. Sometimes I jokingly am like, I know there's some people in this room that know what I'm talking about as I'm expressing living with it, because it is more common than we think. But moreover, that moment for me really stands out as a point where I felt there was an urgency in me in letting people know that they can push through that, they can survive. So
Yeah, that's incredible that you're able to see your impact firsthand, really experience it and see how it was able to impact somebody's life. The next
sure.
question is, do you believe that being a speaker is your main purpose in life?
I don't know. I don't think so. No, I don't think that's my main purpose. I think my main purpose in life is to be the person that I think the world should be. Like, to be, put my money where my mouth is. Like, live my truth, live out the things that I believe is right. And it's hard to do sometimes, like, it's hard to do from a macro level or micro level. It's hard to be as healthy as I want to be. Like, I see donuts sometimes and I'm like, damn, like, no, I don't need these, but like, it's things like that to bigger things too, bigger issues, world issues. And you're like, yo, like, why am I not, am I being the best that I should be in this moment? Things like that. So for me, that's definitely what it is.
Right. And I want to ask you, what is the part about being an entrepreneur that you like the most?
Working on my own time, for sure, bro. Like, for sure, that is absolutely the best. Like, and I prefer, honestly, an unorthodox schedule, because I'm not necessarily my most productive between 8 and 5, or something like that. Like, sometimes I'm really productive when I'm up early in the morning and I'm at working at 5:30, excuse me, 5:30 in the morning. And then by 2:00 in the afternoon, I'm like, let me chill out for a few hours. I'm not working until 5:30 or something. Then maybe I finish out the day. But like, things like that. So when I can work, when I feel most productive, then it doesn't feel as much like work, because it feels like I'm doing it when I feel like best.
Yeah, that's a really
What I'm forced to do.
great part of being an entrepreneur. And it definitely, you can't experience that without a bit of struggle and a bit of pushback for sure.
Yeah. Oh
So
yeah, for
I'd like to know, what do you want to achieve with your business? Do you have an end goal in mind?
You know what's funny is um jokingly, I used to say at the very beginning, like when I was in my last semester of school, is when I started this business with my dad. And I was just like, yeah, man, as long as I can pay off my student debt, we're cool, man. Like this is good for me, dude, you know? And so yeah, that was the running joke. But no, in actuality, man, like it for me, it's just impacting as many people as I positively impact as many people as I can. And I can't quantify that, you know, because I really don't want to put limits on it. And you know, like I said, we just filmed our first online course. Like, who's to say we're not going to reach hundreds of thousands of people with this? Like, I don't know. I don't know. We might reach 25. I don't know. Like it might happen one of both ways or somewhere in the middle. But just positively impacting people, that's what matters most to me. So that's where I see my business going. There's so many mediums to get there. I mean, I'd love to be on some popular shows, you know, like some of my favorites are like the Breakfast Club radio show, but it's also like a YouTube show.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you know the Breakfast Club, right? Charlemagne, Angela Yee, DJ Envy.
Yeah,
Uh,
totally.
yeah, so I would say that one too, and then Ebro in the morning. He's another radio host. I don't know if you know this, but he's from Sacramento. So me being from Sacramento, I'd love to be on his show.
Really
Um,
cool.
but yeah, other like really good podcasts. I mean, I guess the dream would be to do an interview with Oprah. You know, like that's the dream, bro. Like for sure.
Love to hear it.
Yeah. So, but yeah, man, keep going. I guess until then.
No, no doubt. I've no doubt that you're going to see continued success, and I can't wait to see what else is in store for the Avery and Brian experience.
Sure,
I want
man.
to leave off with, how can people connect with the business, or how that can they stay connected with your journey?
For sure. I mean, the best way is to go to our website, averyandbrian.com. AveryandBrian.com. So that's the best way. From there, you can see all of our socials. We got a YouTube channel, Avery and Brian Experience on YouTube, Avery and Brian XP on Instagram. You can find us on Facebook too. But yeah, check out our website for sure. You can find our YouTube page from there. That's the best way.
Wonderful. I'll link those all down below in the description of this episode. So if you want to check that out, please do so. Avery, thanks so much for coming on the podcast. I really enjoyed speaking with you.
Thank you, man. It's been a pleasure. Yeah, man, continued success on this podcast. I'm
Thank
excited
you.
to see where you can take it and see where all these other ideas you've got, where they can go, bro.
Thank you so much.
So,
Well, thanks everybody for listening to this week's episode, and make sure to stay tuned because we have new episodes dropping every Sunday of each week. And if you're not already, go follow the podcast on Instagram at owens.exhibit. This is Owen signing off.